Well, some scientists say we need to start preparing for what will happen after Earth's poles finish shifting. So the Earth's poles aren't permanently stable. Roughly every 200,000 years, the poles reverse, making the north south and the south north. But this hasn't happened in 800,000 years, so we are long overdue for a pole reversal.
Did you know that Earth has two North Poles? There's the geographic North Pole, which never changes, and there's the magnetic North Pole, which is always on the move. And right now, it's moving faster than usual. Over the last 150 years, the magnetic North Pole has casually wandered 685 miles across northern Canada. But right now, it's racing 25 miles a year to the northwest. This could be a sign that we're about to experience something humans have never witnessed before: a magnetic polar flip. And when this happens, it could affect much more than just your compass.
Right, so basically the Earth is like a giant positive and negatively charged ends. So the north is negative and the south is positive. Do I understand this right?
Yeah, correct.
But sometimes, Earth doesn't always just have a single magnetic north and south pole. Evidence suggests that for hundreds to thousands of years at a time, our planet has had 4, 6, and even 8 poles at a time. This is what has happened when the magnetic poles flipped in the past. And when it happens again, it won't be good news for humans. Now you might think that 8 poles must be better than 2, but the reality is that multiple magnetic fields would fight each other. This could weaken Earth's protective magnetic field by up to 90% during a polar flip. Earth's magnetic field is what shields us from harmful space radiation, which can damage cells, cause cancer, and fry electronic circuits and electrical grids. With a weaker field in place, some scientists think this could expose planes to higher levels of radiation, making flights less safe. This could also disrupt the internal compass in many animals, which use the magnetic field for navigation. Even more extreme, it could make certain places on the planet too dangerous to live. But what exactly will take place on the surface is less clear than what will undoubtedly happen in space. Satellites and crewed space missions will need extra shielding that we'll have to provide ourselves. Without it, intense cosmic and solar radiation will fry circuit boards and increase the risk of cancer in astronauts. Our modern way of life could cease to exist. We know this because we're already seeing a glimpse of this in an area called the South Atlantic Anomaly. Turns out, the direction of a portion of the magnetic field deep beneath this area has already flipped. Scientists say that's one reason why the field has been steadily weakening since 1840. As a result, the Hubble Space Telescope and other satellites often shut down their sensitive electronics as they pass over the area, and astronauts on the International Space Station report seeing a higher number of bright flashes of light in their vision, thought to be caused by high-energy cosmic rays the weaker field can't hold back. Since experts started measuring the anomaly a few decades ago, it has grown in size and now covers 1/5 of Earth's surface, with no signs of shrinking anytime soon. This is so extreme that it could be a sign we're on the brink of a polar flip, or we may already be in the midst of one. But scientists remain skeptical, mainly because, it turns out, 780,000 years is over double the time that Earth usually takes between flips.
While Earth's magnetic pole shift, the pole had been moving slowly for hundreds of years, seen in purple, pink, and red. But then the 1900s come along, and we go orange into yellow and green. The North Pole has certainly begun to shift. While the South Magnetic Pole is moving more slowly, it is definitively shifting too, and has now left the continent of Antarctica, coming up in the southeastern Indian Ocean. Now the North Pole's position was not easily discernible on the Mercator map, so we'll switch to the Arctic view, zooming in so we can see that the North is breezing by the actual geographic pole as it speeds up towards Siberia. Please notice that the distance jumps get smaller there at the end. Also notice that those are predictions rather than actual readings. And the past 3 updates to these databases have all predicted that slowdown incorrectly. So let's not allow that apparent slowdown to fool us this time. The poles are shifting faster and faster. Part of Earth's magnetic system is the magnetosphere, Earth's magnetic shield. As if the shifting poles were not enough, we notice a progressive weakening of our shield, similar to the pole shift. It's weakening faster and faster and faster. As of the year 2000 update, our field had lost 10% of the strength it enjoyed before the magnetic poles began to shift. And since then, we have noted further weakening, large breaches in Earth's magnetosphere, and then more weakening. You would think a magnetic reversal would occur with one pole going in one direction and the other pole moving around the opposite side of Earth, keeping the poles pretty much on opposite sides of the planet, but that is not what we have here. The North Pole is heading across the Arctic towards Siberia, while the South comes up from below Australia. Because the North Pole is moving faster, their meeting place appears to be below the equator, near the Indonesia Bend. This is also important because in February 2014 we posted a video called Disturbance Under the Ocean. The South Bali Buoy, which was removed from public record the day after that video was made, was showing a dramatic seafloor rise of thousands of feet, indicating something was happening below our feet, and it happens to be where both poles are moving. Even more interestingly is the opposite side of the planet. The Earth can't have North and South poles in the same place, so if one shall remain at the South Bali Buoy, the other one should pop out somewhere around here. I say somewhere because the magnetic poles are almost never exactly on opposite sides of the world, so it would be this general area over to the left, just between the Bermuda Triangle and the South Atlantic anomaly. Best guess for which one of those would get the pole is up to you, but the fact remains, our poles are shifting towards one another. Unfortunately, the end result of magnetic reversals is not such a happy tale for our planet. Our magnetic field protects us from the sun, which would strip our planet's atmosphere without the protection. Wei et al. Brilliantly correlated each of the previous great extinction events on Earth with these magnetic reversals. Because of the extra oxygen loss into near-Earth space, Earth is also at risk from major star water events, like Noah's flood might have been. The star water danger here is detailed in a video called Super Flood. You can also research Arc Storm to learn more about the smaller version of the super flood. There is a new danger now, however, that was never present before. Way above our heads, we find electric layers, magnetic fields wrapping around our planet. We've been talking about them in this video. If we lose our shield, we are at risk for a danger that can happen much more quickly than an oxygen loss. The greatest danger that solar eruptions pose to Earth is electrical. The sun can surge so much energy into the Earth that transformers and grids could be destroyed. We could be without electricity for years. This footage comes from the video How to Watch the Sun. The short version of the story we tell there is that the sun can send us back to the Stone Age, and that weakening magnetic shield is what stops it from happening and stops solar plasma from breaching Earth's protective layers and destroying the ozone and upper atmosphere. Extinction is certainly a possibility with magnetic reversals. Now, while many scientists admitted that a reversal was potentially underway, others have yet to reach that conclusion, and those who had always thought it would take hundreds or thousands of years to complete. But a few Berkeley scientists just blew that wide open. In case you couldn't tell from the pole movement speed and the speed of the field weakening, at these rates of change, we don't have hundreds or thousands of years left. The official word is that reversal can happen as quickly as 80 years, a human lifetime. We're already 100 years into this one.
It was something like, the Inuits say that their sky is changing. Now, the Inuits are sort of an ancient tribe that live sort of very northern west coast of Canada, around there. And it's the elders that are noticing. I don't know much about this tribe, but all I know is the elders are saying that their sky has changed. Because they use their sky for navigation, for hunting, they use the moon and the stars, and they can tell the seasons as well. Earthquakes we're seeing now, we just had a magnitude 8 That's the first one we've had for a year, isn't it? And I think it was on the Ring of Fire, but then we normally get about 2 a year, isn't it? But I mean, this one, it stood out, and some were saying it's a 7.9, but some were saying it's an 8. And then we've got the volcanic activity seems to be increasing. And the other thing that I think is a bit bizarre is what I've been thinking about is this birds just dropping out of the sky. There's another one, yeah. And I remember seeing, I think it was about 100,000 antelope in somewhere called Kazakhstan. Just dropped dead overnight, you know. And then the other thing is you see these dolphins. See these dolphins and whales and fish. Thousands upon thousands of fish washing up, but dolphins and whales in particular, some of them look healthy, you know, but they look like they're stranded, and they look confused, you know, they don't look like they're dying. So what I'm going to do is read some Bible verses that relate to either polar shifts, pole shifts, or axis tilts. I'm going to read this one first. This one is Joshua 10, 12 to 14. Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up to the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day. And there was no day like that before it, or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. And that is Isaiah 24:18 to 20. I shall read it out. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on the high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. The earth is utterly broken down, the earth is clean dissolved, the earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall rule to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Revelation 6:14 says this, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, then every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Now, going back to what I was saying earlier about if this axis shift or pole shift actually happens, what would happen is all the geography gets changed, the seas start moving. Some areas that are dry land will become sea, and some of the areas that are sea will become dry land. And Isaiah 24:1, this is another example. Behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. Job 9:5. Which removeth the mountains, and they know not, which overturneth them in his anger. And then we go into Hebrews. Similar thing again. Whose voice then shook the earth, but now he hath promised, saying, Yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. And finally, Isaiah 22:25. In that day, saith the Lord of hosts, shall the nail that is fastened in the sure place be removed, and be cut down, and fail. And the burden that was upon it shall be cut off, for the Lord hath spoken it. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it also be in the days of the Son of Man. And that's what we're in now, the days of the Son of Man. Basically, the days of Noah is just before the great flood, isn't it?